Hi and welcome to the video. I'm Dame and this is Dame Over, the channel where I try not to get game over. Today in Battlefield 1 we're having a look at a build using the support class. This one's particularly useful for game types that involve capturing and holding flags. So let's have a look at what we've got.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die!
The Area Defender build. We'll start as always with the primary, which is the MG15 NA Storm variant. They couldn't just make that easier and call it Jeff. So that's what we're going to go with. Alright, yeah. Jeff is a beast, and the build gets a lot of versatility because of Jeff. It's effective at pretty much all ranges apart from the very long, but it can still force players to keep their heads down if you don't get the kill. It does take about 6 or 7 days to reload, so make sure you put it in your calendar and send an email out to your teammates before you do. But the mags have 100 rounds in, so you don't need to do it very often. What's great about this gun is that the accuracy doesn't improve with trigger tapping, it actually seems to do the opposite. So at range, don't be too conservative. Also, up close, if you do happen to come across 4 guys running straight at you up a narrow staircase, you can just calmly walk forward holding down the trigger until their bodies stop twitching. As with most of the support class guns, you'll be outmatched quite often by assault troops using the Automatico or the shotgun, but the damage per second this gun can put out means that you stand a really good chance of surviving the encounter if you manage to get your sights up nice and quick. Hip firing with Jeff isn't really advisable, but you can still get out of tricky situations if you panic and somehow forget what all of the buttons do. For our secondary, we've got the Repetier Pistola M1912. Hopefully that's not too offensive to any of you German speakers out there. This secondary is great owing to the extra punch it has and the added accuracy over the MLE 1903, which is featured in my other builds, but with no trade-off to the fire rate. It's also got a much kinder range drop-off. Firing from the hip is not as good as the MLE, so make sure you're aiming down the sights when you're using this. You'll be relying on your MG for almost all of your engagements, so you only really need to use this pistol when you've not got time to reload your primary. Gadget number 1, and a must-have for any support class users, is the ammo crate. As we all know, in World War I, people were much stronger because of all the coke and legal opiates that were available. So this guy obviously carries around an almost infinite supply of ammo and grenades with ease. Because you're using this build for area defense, you'll want to prioritize keeping your scouts resupplied so they can keep chucking out those flares. Gadget number 2 is interchangeable for this build and is all dependent on which map you're playing. So for starters, we've got the crossbow launcher, frag variant. The crossbow should be used for the maps that have non-destructible interiors that you'll be spending a fair bit of time in, like Monte Grappa or St. Quentin's Scar. Combining the old with the new just after the turn of the century was a big deal back then, and the logical birthchild of this was the frag-flinging crossbow. This thing is super powerful, and if you use it correctly, it can cause players to instantly become virgins again upon their deaths. It's great for clearing corridors and excellent for the opening stages of an assault, so have a bit of a practice and get the range down. For the more open maps like Argonne Forest and FAO Fortress, or Foul Fortress, I looked it up and I couldn't find out how to pronounce it, okay? For these ones, we've got the Airburst Mortar. The Airburst has more infantry damage, so set up and lay down fire on the choke points. Try to coordinate with your scouts firing flares to mark the targets, and use the environmental hazards for extra cool points. Finally, for the high explosive mortar, this should be used on the more building-y maps, as my friend Good Guy calls them. Use these to bring down the cover people are hiding in, hopefully killing them with the subsequent debris, although they can also be used to direct impact infantry. For our grenade, we've gone back to Old Faithful, the Impact Nade. It's a favourite of mine because it gives your enemies almost no chance at getting away in time before it explodes, and because of the style of play you'll be using with this build, you'll be using it to finish off your targets in most cases. For our melee, I've chosen the Trench Mace, because not only is it an excellent bludgeoning weapon, it's also threatening sexually. The animations are very satisfying when you claim your targets from behind. The secret to this build is using good positional play. Find a choke point or a vantage point and watch the high traffic areas. The sheer stopping power of the MG15 MA Storm, aka Jeff, means you'll be able to take on multiple opponents, and you should be able to use your equipment to thin their numbers before they push in. This build needs good map knowledge and for you to remain unpredictable. Positional play is not the same as camping, so keep yourself moving in between attacks or you'll be easy prey for the opposition. And remember to keep putting those ammo crates down whenever your teammates need them. This build is really useful at helping you stay in control for the capture and defend game types, and it's been a hell of a lot of fun to use and make this build, so hopefully you have the same success that I did. If you've had a good time, then hit the like button, and if you've not been here before, then hit the subscribe button too. Till next time, that's game over. Peace.